Namaste guys. Before I start, I would like to tell you that I know that it kind of sucks, let's be honest, that you just have to sit there and watch me talk about stuff. The information's great, but I need to make things more snappy for you. So every week I am striving to learn something new to make things more upbeat and interesting for you. And this week I've got lighting, and I've moved the camera so you can see the light on my face. But I want to make things more engaging for you, because the information is really good, right? It's really good. Well, it comes from years of experience. So if you're planning to travel to India, it's certainly a good idea to listen to other travellers who have been and done this stuff. So and I like to think my advice is good quality. So this week I'm going to talk to you about travel in the northeast of India. Now, the northeast of India is an up-and-coming superstar. As I stated before in my posts and on my videos, that India is like many countries in one country. Rajasthan has no similarities at all with Ladakh. You know, the only similarity really is the idea that that they all use the rupee. The people are different, the food is different, the landscape is woefully different. And the northeast is no exception. The northeast is a country unto itself, and the government have lifted most of the permits. So this is now, I personally, I am shocked that we're just allowed to walk around up there, because there are very fragile tribal cultures that are coming in to meet the modern world, and also the ecosystems are very delicate. It's considered the 8th most biological place and biologically diverse place in the world, the northeast. So there's lots of reasons to go, and I don't need any encouragement. I really like it there, and I would like to encourage the more adventurous of my viewers to think about making your way up there, because it is there's nowhere else like it in the world, and you're sure to leave with some memories that will last a lifetime. And I would like to help you to discover this for yourself. And but I will say that it's very different from elsewhere in the country, in that everything takes a lot of time. Nothing runs smoothly. But I'm gonna go into detail now about the foundations of what you need to know about making a trip up to this remarkable part of the world. So with that said, let's get started. So now we're going to do a little bit of background information on the northeast of India. Not only is it a country unto itself, it is also a country, the states are very different from each other, and it's commonly referred to, excuse me, is commonly referred to as the Seven Sisters, and it should be a surprise to no one that it consists of 7 states. Those 7 states are Sikkim, Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura, Mizoram and Manipur. This is what we call the 7 states and 7 sisters. And like I said, they're really, really different from each other. And the geography is very different, the people are very different. So you get a lot of bounce for your ounce if you come up there. And it's very, very adventurous. So it's going to be wrong of me not to mention that it is a major seismic risk zone. You've got 3 converging plates that meet underneath the land. You've got the Eurasian, the Indo, and the Burmese plate, and they make the ground shake from time to time. What concerns me is the last major quake was in 1950. They get tremors, you know, but the last major quake was in 1950, and that poses a small but significant risk. I'd probably go over the top, because anytime I stay up there, I always sort of work out an escape route should something happen, because a large earthquake is quite overdue. The landscapes is very rich and varied, and it runs from, say, the steaming jungles from the south, and then it sort of opens up into the valley that runs through Assam, where the Brahmaputra has cut a very, very large valley into the side of Assam. And then it's, once you get over that, it sort of goes uphill very, very fast to the heights of the Himalayas. Sikkim, which is a way off, so it's quite difficult to sort of relate to it in your head. That's over there somewhere, and that goes up very, very fast in elevation. And Sikkim was actually rated as one of the best destinations, or was it the best destination? I can't remember, to visit anywhere in the world by Lonely Planet. So all you can do really is just go and turn up there and see if that's true or not. So now we're going to talk about the climate up in, when do you go? So, well, it really depends on what you want, really. The worst time is in the monsoon season, and usually I quite like monsoon season, but that's not really a good thing out there. It's one of the wettest places, well, actually, I think it's been beaten now, but the wettest places in the world was up there, which was Cherrapunji, and one year they got more than 18 metres of rain, which is an unfathomable amount of water. That is insane, isn't it? You know, 18 this room that is probably less than 3 metres, so you think about that, and most of that falls in a couple of months. And the Brahmaputra usually breaks its banks, and you get floods, quite serious floods. And although I hear there are some crazy people who head to Majuli Island in the monsoon, I don't know why you would do that. I don't know how would that benefit you? I mean, it's floodland. And but you know, if you really want to go and experience the heavy rain, people do it. The other thing to bear in mind about that is you get blooms of dengue and malaria that come out during this time of year, and dengue is obviously getting more and more common. But you're not going to get that in the countryside. You're going to get that in the cities, in places like Guwahati. So that's certainly something to bear in mind. If you come in the dead of winter, you can't get up there to the high mountains easily. You know, many of the roads close off. They might get snowed in, and it's just not. It's not really a great time. But this the peak season between I'd say peak in a very loose way, because you're not going to meet a lot of tourists out there anyway. I've gone weeks up there without seeing a single tourist. So the winter time, the climate is most palatable, but it's not possible to visit places like Tawang or go to the far north of Sikkim because it's frozen shut. The roads are just not happening. So the best time to visit really is between I'm going to say October and April. In the plains, in that valley I was talking about where the Brahmaputra is, it gets really baking hot in the summertime. But you can't have it all. All in all, I would say, unless you really want to come and experience heavy rain, don't come in the monsoon. Aside from that, there's something there for everyone pretty much most of the time of year. For those people that make it, of course. So now I'm going to talk about the people of Northeast India, and the first thing I'm going to say is I don't actually know how you would define Northeast Indian culture, because it's such a melting pot. It's very difficult to say any one thing, and for me that comes for a variety of reasons why it's like that. One, it was first settled in 500 BC. There's archaeological evidence to back that up. which means that has a huge amount of longevity to build up diversity of cultures, and countless empires have risen and fallen. Every single one of them has left its imprint on the food and also the people. The other thing is it's geographically, it's in an odd place. You've got this small bunch of states and you've got Sikkim over there, and it's sort of bound together by this tiny wafer of land that connects it to mainland India. So you've got Assam, and it goes into West Bengal. And then on every direction, you get other countries, which is obviously going to have a huge influence on everything. And so to the north, you get Bhutan, you got Tibet. To the east, you get Myanmar. To the south, you get Bangladesh and a bit more Myanmar. And to the west, you get more of Bangladesh. And then if you keep going over, you're going to get Nepal. So that's a good reason why things are so mixed and varied there. And on top of that, you get you've got this sort of eclectic mix of Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, and on top of that, you've got all these tribal groups, and some of them are very, very distinct. I've heard this different estimates. It's difficult for me to give you a number, but it's at least 200. I think somewhere between 200 and 220 distinct tribal groups, and they all have their own distinct cultures. So it's very important. It's very important when you go up there, and if you meet these tribal groups, you've got to remember that your actions count. Because, as I said before, they're meeting the modern world, and it's a big impression. They've been shielded from mass tourism for a very long time, and I really did get a sense of that when I was there. And I met all these different cultures that people sort of look at you in awe. So it's a good idea to mind your behaviour. To really experience the diversity of the culture, nothing beats a good old-fashioned festival. And there's a lot of festivals to choose from. I mean, I can't list them all because there's quite literally too many. So if you figure out where it is that you want to go, just Google that and then just see if you can time your trip with a festival, because it will make the world of difference. And they really are very, very different. You've got the fierce war dances of the Naga people, and you've got some very elegant dances of people like the Missing people of Assam, and it's all there for you to discover if you just can time it. I mean, you're going to discover it anyway, but nothing beats it. If you can, do it. So now I'm going to talk to you about the animals. The animals that you find in the northeast is staggering. If you're like me, I'm a nature nut, and I really appreciate discovering new species. This is a great place to come. As I mentioned before, it is one of the most biologically diverse places in the world, and I do believe it is number 8 of the most biologically diverse places in the world. So great place for you to come if you want to discover new species for yourself. You get your big show-stopping national parks, and you get your smaller national parks. A lot of them don't get any press, so again, you can either ask me if I know the answers, then I will help you. If not, just Google what national parks are in what state, because a lot of them, Kaziranga obviously gets loads of press. Everybody knows that one. Even Nang Dapa, people know that one as well. But a lot of them that people that have no idea is there. I mean, I discover them as I go, I tend to. And they tend to be no less wonderful. Kaziranga, because it's got his large numbers of rhinoceros, of elephant, of tiger, that gets all the customers. That milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. People flying from around the world to come and have a look at this. That's my advice. Google it. See what national parks are actually in there, because not all of them are accessible neither. That's another thing. Nang Dapa National Park has all 4 species of large cat found in India, but you're unlikely to see them because it's really massive and it's very, very inaccessible as well. But that's so you think about what it is that you want, how much effort do you want to put in, and also it's obviously going to cost a bit. But Indian national parks, compared to national parks elsewhere in the world, are even the premier ones like Kaziranga it's got a very meagre price tag in compared to, say, the Serengeti. So now we're going to move on to birds. Birds you can find 836 species. That's insane. So if you're a bird watcher, you can rejoice. That is one mammoth checklist, and they've got a lot of premier places for you to go and look at the birds. Even if you don't like them, you can't help but to be taken aback by the beauty of some of the animals, like the rufous hornbill. And it's not humanly possible to look at a rufous hornbill and go, "Oh, it's all right." It's wonderful. On top of that, it's got 29 species of amphibian. Sorry, I have to read my list for this one. My memory's not actually that good. 29 species of amphibian, 23 species of lizard, 20 species of snakes, 21 species of freshwater turtles, tortoises, and a single species of crocodile. And that single species of crocodile just happens to be the critically endangered gharial. So there's so many good reasons to come up there, isn't it? And if you love nature, and a lot of these national parks, unlike other national parks that you get on mainland India, they're going to be quite empty compared to if you go to Ranthambore in Rajasthan. Wonderful place, and you get to see a lot of wildlife, but you have to share that day with a lot of people. That's definitely not so with a lot of the national parks. The premier ones, Kaziranga, is going to be busy, but the rest of them, not really. So with the food, so there's been countless documentaries of people going up there. I believe Gordon Ramsay went up there as well to go and talk about northeastern food, because and when people think of northeastern food, they often associate it with people eating weird stuff, and stuff that you wouldn't usually eat. And certainly when I've stayed with tribal cultures, you get what you're given, and sometimes it's a bit like forest rat is very popular in Arunachal, and I remember this one. I'm going to tell you a little story. Actually, I don't care. There was this little boy, and he gave me this newt, this little tiny newt, and he gave it to me to hold, and I thought he was just showing it to me, and so I had to look at it, and I put it in the water and I let it swim away. And he looked heartbroken. I didn't know he was going to eat that, and that was for dinner. So, but that doesn't sum up the food at all. There's a lot of food for you to get involved in and enjoy. The big culinary destinations for me, though, is probably Assam. Assam is really good, and Meghalaya. The food of the Khasi people is absolutely fantastic, and you really get a sense that Southeast Asia is merging with India at this point, because you start seeing things like lemongrass and galangal used that you don't see elsewhere in the subcontinent. These ingredients are very much associated with Southeast Asian cuisine, and but the dishes themselves are so different. So you can really travel your taste buds. Do double check if you've got a problem with eating any of the more acquired tastes. I'm going to say acquired tastes. The local people seem to love it. Fish features heavily on the menus in the Brahmaputra, obviously, giant river. And in Sikkim, it's quite akin to Tibet, so you can expect to see thukpa on the menu, momos. Who in the world doesn't like momos? They're like little dumplings. They're absolutely fantastic. But you have to be careful because they're very Moorish and they make you fat. So you can, as a whole, when you go around the whole area, if you was to travel to all 7 states, you'd scarcely be able to eat the same dish twice. So if you do find something that you like, and it's very, very likely you do, I've eaten some fantastic food, but I've been safe in the knowledge I will never get to eat it again. So if you find something, enjoy it, because the food is fantastic. Obviously, if you're going far out into the wilderness and you're going to stay with a tribal community, whatever they're eating, you're eating, and so that's part and parcel. Travelling your taste buds is all part of it, isn't it? But overall, that happens very seldomly. The food is fantastic, and don't let that stereotype cloud your mind and just think, I don't really want to eat salt forest rat. You probably won't have to. So when it comes to the sides of northeast India, people often, because it lacks the big show-stopping sites that you get down south, it doesn't have a Taj Mahal, and it doesn't have an Amber Fort or Hampi, but it's got plenty of its own, and the sites are really nice. My favourite definitely is the root bridges of Meghalaya. They are today the only sustainable structures that we have ever created as a civilization, because it both benefits the plant and it benefits the people. They use it for when all that rain comes that I was talking about. They have a way of crossing the bridge, and the fig tree is very happy with it. But they're so wonderful to look at. They really are captivating, and it sounds like, I want to go and see some bridges. There's a good reason why you want to go and see these bridges. They're really, really different. They look like something from Lord of the Rings, but they're not. They're just a way for people to get across the road. So what else we got? The Gompas of Sikkim, they really stand out. They have a distinct feel as well, Sikkimese Gompas. They don't feel like Gompas that you get elsewhere. A Gompa is a Tibetan monastery, right? The Gompas are radically different, I would say quite radically different from anywhere else, and they're certainly very nice to discover. There's also the giant Gompa in Tawang, and also you've got in Assam you've got the remnants of the Ahom dynasty. They lasted for like 600 years, and they built some pretty impressive buildings that are just there for you to. But many of the states they don't have any set sites. You know, like Nagaland doesn't have very much sites as such, but that doesn't matter because the whole state is a pleasure to visit, and it's probably one of the key states for a reason why people go out there in the beginning. So in summary of this talk on northeast India, this should be enough for you to whet your appetite. You've got all these different things for you to come and have a look at. You can see if that appeals to you. Do bear in mind it is very adventurous travel, and things will not run the way that you want it to, and budget it into your itinerary. You know, landslides happen, and you can be cut off, and maybe there's a festival and there's no buses for a few days, or there's a whole wide range of things that can hamper your get here this day and get here this day. That can definitely happen. But the government have lifted their permits. The only permits that are around is for us, foreigners, myself. We need a permit for Arunachal Pradesh, and Indians need a permit for Nagaland, but we don't. Don't know why. So theoretically, we're supposed to show our, but they wasn't interested when I crossed. They just let me cross. But apparently, if you're an Indian national, you need one. I don't know why that is. But do remember, you do have to be very mindful when you go. I can't state that enough. That the cultures are very fragile. I actually have a quite a big concern that the Indian government are going to open the border between Manipur and Burma, and if they do that, that would mean that you could make an unbroken route from, say, Malaysia or Vietnam all the way over to Delhi. This will bring in good revenue for the Indian government, but this will be detrimental to the people who live up there. I mean, because a lot of the Southeast Asian backpacking scene, they're there to party, and I don't think they've ever seen anything like that. So hopefully that doesn't go ahead. Under no circumstances does that mean that you shouldn't go, though. All it means is just be mindful, because your money's going to be very welcome. Just think about where your money's going as well. If you can keep it local, if you can support local communities with your money, then that's great. So I think that's about it, right? And that's enough to start you off as background information. I'll be going there myself again relatively soon, and so I will be able to put more ideas to you. And I've spent a lot of time up there myself. So if you do have any questions, then because I can't cover everything, the video will be hours. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to know that's not covered in this video, then just let me know, and I'm always happy to help. If I know the answer, then I will tell you. But I always aim to give honest information. If I don't know the answer, then I'm not going to tell you. Okay, so that should be enough for now, and so until next time, take care.